I have covered election fraud. I was at the courthouse on the New York primary day in 2016. They purged 200,000 voters off the rolls in Brooklyn. I was there. I was the only journalist that was covering the New York election fraud. I was in Iowa this year covering the app, and that was fraud. Okay? I know what I'm talking about. There is a difference between a couple isolated incidents around the country. Some might be glitches in the software. Of course, Lee Camp has done great work on this. Election machines are open to be rigged and hacked. That's 100% true. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying that's not true, that election machines can be hacked. What I'm saying is there's a difference between seeing isolated incidents in a county in Michigan or seeing an incident, here and there. And it might be suspicious. And yes, by all means, look into it. For example, I'd like to know the county in Michigan that flipped the votes from Trump to Biden incidentally, or they say accidentally, and then switched it back to Trump once they realized. There's apparently 40 or so other counties that use the same equipment that glitched in one county. So I will follow up to find out, did they review all the counts in those other counties? Did those other counties flip from Trump to Biden accidentally? That is legitimate to look into that. But there's a difference between finding isolated incidents, that's one thing, and then pushing a narrative, because that's what these channels are doing, Republicans and progressives, and pushing a narrative that there's a widespread conspiracy. That's what they're saying, that there's a widespread conspiracy in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, all the states that Trump lost, right? That there's a widespread conspiracy, an intentional act in all these states to give Biden the votes of dead people, to literally ballot harvest, to create new ballots, to bar Republican legal observers, even though we were literally on the ground in Philadelphia 2 days ago, on the ground, talking to a living, breathing Republican legal observer who said, yeah, it's ridiculous. This place is packed with legal observers. There are plenty of Republican observers. They're not blocking Trump observers. They're blocking randos off of the street who want to come in because Trump is tweeting that they're not letting them in. That place was packed with legal observers, including Republican legal observers. How do we know? We didn't find it on Twitter. We were there. We spoke with them. To claim, as Nico and some others are doing, that it's just a fact. There's a widespread conspiracy all over the country that flipped enough votes from Trump to Biden. It's not journalism. Frankly, it's not even commentary. It's just conspiracy bat nutso. And this is coming from somebody who doesn't like the Democratic Party. This is coming from somebody that knows the DNC rigged 2 primaries against Bernie Sanders. This is coming from somebody who, by the way, through Election Day was bashing Joe Biden. But some don't understand nuance. They don't understand that you can be against the corruption of the Democratic Party while also stating facts. Yeah. Here's the facts. Biden won the election, at least the general election, fairly.
Yeah.
Trump was a president presiding over 235,000 people dying. He wrongly tried to attack Biden as a socialist boogeyman rather than going after Biden on NAFTA, TPP, and his terrible record. Trump, honestly, would have crushed Biden in a landslide if not for COVID, in my opinion. And the exit polls we're about to read to you show it wasn't fraud. You want to know why Trump lost? He lost a lot of the white voters. He lost a lot of the older white voters that he had in 2016. Why? Because maybe older white voters don't like his handling of a deadly pandemic, which they are the most susceptible of. Trump also, which should be a shameful embarrassment to the Democratic Party, Trump increased, I have the tweet, Trump increased among black men by 5 percentage points. He increased among black women by 4 percentage points. He increased among Latino women by 3 percentage points. he increased among Latino men by 4 percentage points. That is embarrassing if you are the Democratic Party, and a huge warning for upcoming elections. In Texas in specific, a large reason Trump won was Hispanic turnout for him. This is a man building a wall around Mexico, and the Democratic Party is down 4% among black women, 4% among 5% among black men, 3% among Latino women, 4% among Latino men. You're not going to hear that in corporate media. So I'm done ranting. I think these other channels, unless you have actual evidence of something, like when I was in New York in 2016 at the courthouse, there was evidence. I'm talking about the New York primary. There was evidence at that point of tens of thousands of Democratic voters being purged off the rolls. It ended up being 200,000 that got purged off the rolls in Brooklyn. That was evidence. I actually interviewed people who were purged. I actually saw registrations that were not accepted arbitrarily. There was evidence there. That was one primary. This time in the Iowa caucus, with the app and precincts being reported, during the Iowa caucus this year, precincts being reported that they went to Pete Buttigieg, even though people were literally posting screenshots on Twitter of the vote tallies, caucus site to caucus site, going for Bernie, but they were given to Pete. That's evidence, right? Tom Perez, literally at the last minute during the Iowa caucus, trying to basically cancel out the satellite locations that Bernie did very well among Latinos in Iowa and this and that. I mean, it was reported on. That was evidence that they were basically trying, by any means necessary, to give Pete the optical victory. Bernie won more popular votes in Iowa. So there's a difference between evidence and Rudy Giuliani and Corey Lewandowski and 4chan and whatever other nutso. So I say, shame on so-called progressives who, because they're so pure and they're so much more progressive than us and they hate the Democratic Party more than anyone else, that they are literally pushing bat conspiracy theories and passing it off as journalism. Cringe. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.